Okay, now we move on to the chapter that deals with recommended practices of sound nature. What is sound nature? I know the sound of music, but what is sound nature? This is a rough translation of al-fitra. The word fitra was mentioned in the Quran. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, Fitrat Allah, in the English translation, so direct your face towards the religion, inclining to truth, adhere to the fitrah of Allah upon which He has created all people. No change should there be in the creation of Allah. So the word of fitrah is mentioned in the Quran. It is mentioned also in the authentic hadith, where the Prophet says, عليه الصلاة والسلام, ما من مولود إلا ويولد على الفطرة. There is no child that is born except he's born upon fitrah. And his parents make him a Jew, Christian, or a fire worshipper. So this is fitrah in the Quran and the Sunnah. And this is referring to the hidden fitrah, because there is an external fitrah. So the hidden fitrah is anything related to tawheed, to iman, to avoidance of shirk. Any child, if he were to be born and left alone, like Mowgli, for example, on an island, brought up without any outside interference. The Prophet tells us that this man, this boy, when he grows up, he would worship only Allah. He wouldn't know how to pray or fast or the other rituals of Islam, but he would have the inner hidden fitrah, which is tawheed. By nature, he would only worship Allah. What is Allah? He wouldn't know. But he would know that He's a provider, the creator, the one who's deserving to be worshipped. There is an external apparent fitrah. And this is to deal with our bodies. There's a hadith which mentions 5, and there is another hadith which mentions 10. One narrated by Anas, and the other is narrated by Mother Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her. So we will go through them quickly. The hadith 5 practices are part of the sound nature: circumcision, shaving pubic hair, plucking armpit hair, clipping nails, and trimming the mustache. So number 1, part of the sound nature, part of the external fitrah is 1, shaving the pubic hair. And this answers the frequently asked questions by women in the subcontinent. Can a woman use a razor blade on her body? The answer is yes. There's no problem in that. Yeah, but the elders say this or that. Ignore the elders. They don't know what they're talking about. The hadith is crystal clear. Men and women are instructed to remove their pubic hair with a razor blade. Can we use creams or substances that allows us to pluck it? You can. But the sunnah is to use razor blades. So what constitutes pubic hair? It's the hair that grows over and around your private part. So does that include the anus? The answer is no. But if you remove that and it's easy for you, so be it. Number 2, circumcision. And this is for men. Males are mandated to be circumcised. And the sunnah is to circumcise a baby boy when he's 7 days old. This is less painful, quicker for his recovery, and it's a sunnah. Female circumcision is an issue of dispute, but no one had ever said it's mandatory. And nowadays, to my knowledge, it's only practiced in like less than 5% of the Muslim population. Less. Excuse me. And enemies of Islam want to tarnish the reputation of Islam by claiming that Islam promotes what they call female genital mutilation. And this is not circumcision. This is tribal things that might be found in Africa. But it's not done anywhere else. Look at Indonesia, 250, 300 million Muslims. It's not done. Look at the Arab world. It's not done. So you cannot compare or condemn Islam because of the doings of a small percentage of people, like we Muslims cannot condemn the Christians for atrocities done by a handful of them or massacres done by a handful of them. It's not fair. Thirdly, trimming the mustache. And of course, this is for men. Women are more than welcome to trim it, rather remove it altogether. But men, they must trim their mustaches. Sometimes you find people with mustaches covering their upper lip, and this is haram. Oof, haram. Yes, it's haram. The Prophet said in an authentic hadith, ﷺ, he is not from us who does not trim his mustache. Whoa, so this is a serious thing, not an easy thing to go by. Number 4, nail clipping. So you're not allowed to have long nails. I've seen some men having this pinky nail this long, and the rest are all cut. Only one hand. I said, what is this? He said, well, you don't know. We maybe need it to use with some vegetables, and sometimes I clean my ears and some lace in my head. A'udhu billah. This is not clean. This is un-Islamic. You have to clip it, so that when you eat, when you clean yourself, when whatever you do, there's no dirt underneath. And number 5, plucking armpit hair. This is the sunnah. But if someone is having a problem with that, then they can either use a razor blade as well, or any other material that they feel fit that it would do the job for them. Again, Imam Shafi'i, may Allah have mercy on his soul, said that plucking the armpit or shaving it is the same. It's up to your convenience, but we know what is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And we also have, it is clear that Islam urges us to attend to these practices for a good appearance, for going against the practices of disbelievers and ignorant people, and to earn reward. Among the sunnahs of nature is siwak, because cleaning your teeth and your mouth and having a acceptable smell is part of the nature. Blowing your nose, cleaning it, pulling the water up your nostrils and blowing it out, and rinsing the water in your mouth, washing the back of your finger joints, so here and underneath your knees and in your toes, cleaning this area is also part of the practices of sound human nature. Brushing the teeth with miswak. Okay, we've gone through that, and you can go through the remaining of the section, and we have no problem with this, bi'idhnillahi azza wa jal. So with this, we conclude. Afterwards, we are supposed to be talking about what invalidates ablution. We spoke about the section that deals with ablution. I hope that the administrators had given the link to my Q&A session, inshallah, and I would request them to send me the email of the questions, because I think we will have a little bit more time for questions today. So, the section that deals what invalidates ablution. What actually invalidates ablution? Scholars have differed immensely, and the reason of the difference of opinion is the authenticity of hadith. And some may use their logic. So what they don't disagree over is answering the call of nature. If a person is in the state of wudu, he urinates, he defecates, or he passes wind, automatically his wudu is invalid. Full stop. He has to go and perform wudu. But also, if a discharge of impurity, and this is imagined with people who have problems in urinating and defecating naturally. I don't know what is called in English, cataracts, I think, is when you get urine out of your body, not through the normal passage. No, cataract might be from the normal passage. But if someone has an operation in his intestines, and they take a pipe or a tube out of it, and they hang a plastic bag next to his body, may Allah protect us all, so all the defecation, all the body waste will come through that pipe or tube to the bag. In this case, this takes the same ruling as defecation or answering the call of nature. Likewise, if urine is being drained through somewhere else than the normal passage, then again, this invalidates wudu. And each case has its own fatwa, because if it's 24/7, what to do? Should I not perform wudu or not? This is a different issue that we may tackle later on, we may not. So among the things that the textbook mentions about what invalidates your wudu is the loss of consciousness, whether it is through sleep or whether it is through fainting and losing consciousness. So if a person sleeps, this is natural. There's nothing wrong. He's not sick. If his sleep is deep, meaning he was unconscious, he's there, I was cracking a joke, he did not laugh. He did not actually hear it. I took his wallet from his pocket, he did not feel it. People came in, people went out, nothing. Then this guy, wudu has been broken. Why? Because his consciousness is what makes him aware whether he released wind or not. So once the consciousness is gone and he's unconscious, then he doesn't know. And there's a hadith where the Prophet says, Al-Aynan wika'us suh, that the body is like a water skin container. We have to come to the nozzle, come to the mouth of it, and tie a rope tightly so that the water does not leave. So the Prophet makes the body like that skin water container, and makes the eyes, that is your consciousness, like the rope tying it. Once your eyes are closed and you're unconscious, the rope is untied and the water comes out, meaning that you would pass wind without knowing it or feeling it. And likewise, if a person is in a coma. Number 4, touching one's private parts directly. And this is a huge issue of dispute among scholars. The reason of this dispute is 2 hadiths. One by Busra bint Safwan. Busra bint Safwan narrated that the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wassalam, when a person asked him, should I perform wudu if I touch my private part? And the Prophet said, yes. So this is it, Sheikh. Where is the confusion? You have to perform wudu. Well, there's another hadith by Talq ibn Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, where a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and asked the same very question. Should a man perform wudu if he touches his private part, his penis? And the Prophet said, no, it is part of your body. Meaning that if you touch your nose, would you perform wudu? It's part of your body. Likewise, if you touch any part of your body, including your penis, it does not invalidate your wudu. So these 2 hadiths are head to head. There is a collision inevitable. What to do? Scholars did some effort to try and solve this problem. And they have different opinions. One says, one hadith abrogates the other. And this is the safest. So the hadith of Talq ibn Ali, touching the private part is like touching any part of your body. This is the default. What's your ruling on touching my index finger, Sheikh? Does it invalidate my wudu? It's like touching any part of your body. What's the ruling on touching my shoulder? What's the ruling on touching my beard? The whole thing. What's the ruling on touching my penis? The same thing. The default is it does not invalidate your wudu. The hadith of Busra bin Safwan removes this default into a new category, which means that touching the private part abrogates the previous hadith and now it invalidates your wudu. And this is the safest. The other opinions, which was the choice of our Shaykh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymeen, may Allah have mercy on his soul, is that in order to combine between 2 hadiths without disregarding one over the other, but rather by implementing both of them together, we say that it invalidates your wudu if you touch your private part with desire. So if there was lust in it, then it invalidates your wudu. But if you're cleaning your child and you're washing your boy or girl after pooping and you touch their private parts, this does not invalidate your wudu because there's no desire in it involved. If you're drying yourself after a shower and you accidentally touch your private part, there's no problem in that. And it's an issue of dispute and Allah knows best. The textbook did not mention number 5, which is eating camel's meat. And in the books of fiqh, they call this as mufradat al-Imam Ahmad, meaning that Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi'i all said that camel's meat does not invalidate wudu. Only Imam Ahmad. So one says, okay, then why are we following Imam Ahmad? What a question. We're following Imam Ahmad because he's following the Sunnah. Do you mean that Abu Hanifa, Malik and Shafi'i are not following the Sunnah? It's a big, huge issue of dispute, and I think I spoke about it before, but we will come to talk about it later on, inshallah. Yet the most authentic opinion is that camel's meat invalidates wudu. if you consume it, it invalidates your wudu. And we will come to discuss this, inshallah, later on.